Good morning, guys. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing? Welcome in. Wow, the lighting is very bad in here. It's very dark in here. Let's fix that. Okay, that's way too much now. Now we're going crazy. Now it's like now it's crazy. All right, that's better. That is better. Oiled up hair. No, that's just water. That is just water. It is not. I'm not slicking my hair back like that. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everybody is well rested and is ready to dive in after one of the craziest sessions yesterday. I think it was one of the not in terms of price action, but in terms of data, in terms of economic data, right? Earnings reports. A lot of things happened yesterday. And today we have to kind of pick up the crumbs and digest everything that happened. Okay? So first of all, good morning to all of you guys. Darius, Ray, Cliff, Joya, Dowell beat Musa. Dowell beat Musa. Yes, like. You guys like I haven't asked for that in a long time. Like the video. I'm not trading FOMC. Premium's messed up. How did you guys do yesterday? I'm curious. How are you guys trading? How did you guys trade yesterday? Specifically, I'm not talking about any other day, just yesterday. How did you guys trade yesterday into FOMC? Did you guys end up green? Were you red? How did you guys do yesterday going into our FOMC session? Because I saw some people. I was actually surprised. I saw a lot of people having trouble. Tesla from Rav, green on SPY. Green for a change, no trades. Red. It's almost 50-50. It is almost 50-50. Man, mostly green now. I'm seeing a lot of greens. All right. We must improve on this, right? We must improve on this. But that's all right. Nice job, Barbara. That is good. That is actually really good. I'm happy to see that. You lost money in the morning and made it back after FOMC. That's actually quite nice. Good recovery. All right, so let's dive into it. We have a lot of things happening today, and I think we are going to get some interesting price action. Okay, so we're going to talk about yesterday's range that was developed. First of all, we have some key things to discuss, right? And the biggest thing is my head. Okay, I need to move my head, make it smaller. There we go. All right, so we're going to go over what's going on here on the SPY chart, right? Obviously, big things happening here on SPY. We developed the range yesterday with an FOMC high and an FOMC low. And we are going to discuss what we can do today about this range, where there are trades. We're going to discuss what we can do on Qs today. The QQQ chart is pretty clear and is perhaps the most clear chart of the morning. Okay, it is the most clear chart of the morning because you know exactly the level we have to break. You can see it right in my chart. You probably know what I'm going to say here, right? It's all about the 630s today here on the QQQ chart, right? Everyone is waiting for this pullback. We're all waiting for it. The question is, when does it happen, right? So let's dive into it. We'll go over some other charts today as well. We have Amazon. Amazon, interesting, right? Amazon is a little bit of an interesting name recently. It's been consolidating over highs. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll go over Apple strength. Apple just a clear outperformer. We'll go over AMD. We'll go over Nvidia downside today. Nvidia downside. I'm actually watching Nvidia downside for some short-term scalps today. The reason why is because we have a big upside move followed by a break of that key retention spot. And now we can look for an equal and opposite magnitude move down, right? So watching for that today here in Nvidia as a top watch today, right? So let's go over some things today, guys. I want to have a nice, clean stream this morning. We have a lot of things to go over. So I want to progress as quickly as possible, right? On the earnings docket for today's session, yesterday we had Meta, we had Microsoft, we had Alphabet, we had Starbucks. Starbucks beat earnings. They actually did not beat earnings, but they had a beat in their forward estimates. Starbucks was green in the after hours, but sold off into the pre-market this morning. I actually like the Starbucks earnings because the Starbucks earnings is going to give us opportunity to buy some more. And I got some Starbucks exposure 2 weeks ago with an average share cost of $80, around 80.5. Now we are almost there again. And I think that this is going to give us some opportunity to consolidate some more shares. maybe even into the upper 70s. We'll get some more shares here on Starbucks. Otherwise, if it rips, that it rips. Okay, so not a bad report here on Starbucks. Actually was one of the best case scenarios for us. I know people would say gap up's the best scenario, but not for me because I want to buy more shares. Okay, Google, Microsoft, Meta all reported earnings today. Today's session in the pre-market, we have Eli Lilly in the pre-market. We have Merck in the pre-market, MRK. So that's going to impact some other names today in that sector. We have Comcast, CMCSA. We have in the after hours today Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit. So the big three in the after hours today's session. One of the biggest of the week today in the after hours. Again, Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, right? Tomorrow or on Friday's session tomorrow, we have ExxonMobil and CVX, the oil names, also tomorrow morning. Okay, econ data for today's session. Obviously, we do have GDP today. Can you guys confirm? Did GDP get released this morning? Did GDP get released into our Thursday morning? I don't think it did. I don't see GDP, but I may be wrong about this one. So let me know what you guys see in the chat. If you guys have that data, type it out. I'd be curious to see if you guys have it. But we also have jobless claims at 8:30 as well. Again, not sure if this has been released yet. That was 10 minutes ago when we started the stream. We have some Fed speakers at 10:30, or sorry, 9:55, and then also at 1:15, right? So 2 Fed speakers, and tomorrow we have PCE. Okay, so PCE data tomorrow in the pre-market session. Okay, so people are saying no government stats. It's not 100% true because there are some government stats being released. I just don't know if this particular stat was released. So what I'll do is I'll confirm that in a second. While my Thinkorswim is loading, I'll get some water. All right, so drum roll. Drum roll on GDP. Let's see, drum roll on GDP. Did GDP get released? The answer is 838, 837, 836. I think the answer is no, guys. I think it's a big fat no here on the GDP. I did not see it. Okay. I mean, I'm not seeing it on my end. You guys are seeing it? Some people are saying they see GDP, but I don't see the GDP numbers on my end. Anyway, not incredibly important. Worst case scenario, I could find out what the numbers are in a few minutes. I do have Canadian. No, I have some data here, but not GDP data. Doesn't matter, guys. Let's move on. We'll figure it out towards the end. All right, so guys, let's move on. On the SPY chart, let's dive in. This is where things become interesting, right? Let's get into this. So yesterday's session was, what was it about? Okay, we had our 689 supply zone, right? We had 689 on the supply. Tuesday's highs were your supply zone. We developed a pre-market level here at 689. And then in the early morning session prior to FOMC, me, Mike, Rav, we were all on live and we couldn't really find much going, right? The market was not moving before FOMC. Market was a little choppy, it was consolidating, but we did manage to buy a short here on the SPY chart right here at 689, right? And if you guys recall, I bought 2 shorts this session. The first short, I actually got out $1 red. The second short, I got out basically here, right? That was where I sold my position on the second short. Now, into FOMC, we ended up breaking that range, right? Breaking the range under the 689s, right? Failing under the previous day high. And we saw some continuation into our demand lows, right? And so that was basically in summation what happened yesterday. Yesterday, in summation, was a previous high of day failure, resulting in downside to the lows of our Tuesday session, right? Pretty classic price action. Was not clean on the intraday, but on the 1 hour time frame, this was quite good, okay? Now, today's session, you have some levels that were built up from yesterday. The first level that was built up from yesterday is going to be the lows of the FOMC, right? The FOMC lows here around that 682.80, right? 682.80 is the FOMC lows. And then obviously the highs here at 689, right? It's highs here, FOMC highs here at 689. And in the middle between these two levels, not exactly the middle, but in the middle, right? We have our 6900 ES level. Now, this is what I'm watching for today's session. The first thing is if we trade under 6900 ES, I'm looking for us to trade down lower into the FOMC lows, right? That's what I'm watching today here on the short side, would be us to break down under these lows for a continuation trade back into 682 SPY, back into FOMC lows on SPY, right? That's what I'm watching for today's session. Now, That is fun, right? We can do that. It's fun. It's exciting. Get some nice downside moves. But the real question mark today's session is, what do we do under 682, right? And that rhymes perfectly. What do we do under 682? Now, you guys know this. If you guys recall from the last few sessions, I think yesterday's session in particular, I said the sky is falling scenario is under 682. And I hate the sky is falling scenario because when we talk about these things, it makes us kind of paralyzed the idea of the opposite happening, right? For example, if I keep saying, guys, let's watch for shorts under these lows, right? Sky's falling, sky's falling, sky's falling. Look for this, right? And the next thing that happens is this happens, right? And you all sit there and no one takes the trade and everyone kind of just sits there and does this. You'll be really upset, right? So I want you guys to understand there's two scenarios, two macro scenarios that I would trade. The first macro scenario would be us under 682. Obviously, under 682, we have the sky is falling scenario. I mean, you can look for the downside and move back into 678, which of course is our demand zone. It's a big bounce area for us to go long on an SPY. And this would be a beautiful trade. This is a trade that you want to see, like you really want to see this trade. Why? Because it's a retracement to our demand zone down below. In fact, it's not even a big retracement, guys. Look at this. If you want to be really precise with this, just go to the 15-minute time frame for a second and look how important the 678s are. Look how important these 673s are. And if you analyze this as one independent uptrend here in SPY, right? One independent uptrend here from the lows to the highs, you're going to find one thing out in particular, right? You will a low fib to a high fib, and you're going to find out that, wow, the 38.2% retracement of this entire move is at the previous all-time highs, 673. It's not an incredibly far-fetched pullback long, right? It's not. The 673s will pull back to you. At some point we will. And again, the question is this: do you want to sit back and set alerts here, the 678s for longs, set alerts here for 678.3s for longs, or do you want to catch some intraday shorts? And for me, I would look for shorts under 682. Under 682, target to move back into these lows over here. That's what it is. And likewise, if the market just flicks off the FOMC lows today, if the market just does this today, then you don't want to be short into the FOMC lows, because if it does that, we're going back into 1600. If you reclaim 1600, we're going back into FOMC highs, right? And the best long though today's session, the best long that I'm watching for today's session, if this does happen, is if we completely invert this 4-hour candle. If we invert this 4-hour candle here and get back above 689, this is the bear case slaughter. Okay, all the bears get slaughtered and we go higher in the market and we rip like that. Okay, so again, this is the bull case scenario. This is the bear case scenario. If you want to be smart, watch for trade 1, trade 2. If you want to get frothy, you want to get spicy, right? Trade in between this range. Look for shorts under 69 for a move into 682. But again, only into FOMC lows, because we don't know if these FOMC lows are going to trade or if we're going to break. Okay, because again, we may simply just do this today. Big downside move. Oh my God, everyone's interested in going short, and then bam, we are back long again because the market tapped an FOMC low. Right, so just be understanding of that today. Right, don't be a rhino shorting back into demand. If you're going to short anywhere, short the highs for a downside move into lows, or short the or look for the breakdown under the lows for a downside move back into the next extreme low, right? That's all it is for today's session. On the ES chart, it's repetitive to what I just said. You can see here, it is all about 6,900 today. If we lose this level, downside back into FOMC lows, and possibly the gap fill level 68.86 or 68.66 rather. If we lose 68.66, then we have downside back into the gap fill, which is the highs of Friday's session. You can see over here, right? The little, you can't see it because my big face is blocking it. But if I zoom over here, you'll see it, right? The highs of that Friday session, 68.40 would be your level, right? So we break under, if we clear under 6,900, we're going to 68.68, right? 68.66. If we clear under these lows, we're gap filling back into 68.38. But again, it's all about the levels today, right? I'm giving you guys the where of the market, right? This is the where of the market, meaning these are where you're going to get this is where you have to be analyzing those 5-minute time frames, right? You're analyzing the 5-minute time frame. At no moment yesterday did I really say in the pre-market, did I say short the 694, the 69.44. At no moment did I say, guys, short the 69.44. I didn't say that yesterday in the pre-market, but I did end up doing that yesterday. And the question is why? The why is because when I have the where, I'm looking for the why. The where was 69.44. And look at what we did. We broke down underneath it. We came back into it, forming these little pin bar rejections here. And that gave you the Y, right? The little bit of a bear flag under our demand zone. That was your Y yesterday. So again, I'm trying to show you guys the wheres. I'm not telling you guys why. I'm just telling you guys where the levels are. Today's session, if you see us begin to develop holds here at 6,900 and do a little bit of this, right? Then it's possible we just rip up higher today, right? Again, we have to be analyzing the 5-minute price action, the 2-minute price action, intraday price action, whatever time frame you use on the intraday, and see how we respond to this area, and this area, because those are the things that's going to tell us where we're going, right? Let's move on, guys. QQQ. On the Q's chart, QQQ is all about one level today, okay? One level. It is absolutely just one level. You guys know what it is. It is 630, right? You can see it right in front of us. It's 630. Look at the FOMC lows. Look at the highs of our Monday session, okay? That's your spot today. It is so simple, okay? If we trade into this bounce area here, right? If we I want to say bounce here, but if you trade into this area of demand today and you buy puts right here and it bounces in your face like this and you're wondering what the hell, the market's against me, something is wrong with my luck, right? I'm just an unlucky trader. You're not an unlucky trader. You just traded puts in a support, okay? You want to look for us to either break down here or you want to short the 635s. That's it, right? Look for the short failure here or the downside move off these lows, and that's what it is. You're looking for either shorts back at resistance or shorts under demand, and if you break that level, then you can get shorts back into lows here. And that's what you're looking for. But again, it's about the 630s today. If we are trading under 630, look for downside, but if we are trading above the 630 and we're trading right into it, then you can't really structure a short trade here. For example, if I were to enter short right now on the QQQ chart, right now at this exact moment, I'll show you something, right? Let's just do this. I know that my short bias today, right now, on the QQQ chart is going to be based upon that Tuesday high, right? So I know that already. So what I can do here is if I open short right now on the QQQ chart, I am basically shorting with the stop loss here at 635.50, 635.60, right? And my take profit is right here. This is the trade that I'm structuring. Is this a good trade? It's not really a good trade, right? It's not really a good trade right now on the QQQ chart. Now, if I completely change this and I see, well, you know what? We've now done this now. Let's just say, for example, we break down underneath the 630s today, right? And we see us begin to form one of these little bear flags on our 630s. Then I'm opening a new short, right? And no longer using that 635 as a stop, but rather using the 630s as a stop loss. In which case, I'm doing something like this right now. I'm doing something like this, where I'm building a short here at the PDL, which would be 630.1. And I'm looking for a short there with the risk under here. And the TP is now back into the 624s, right? And obviously, you're not going to hold a full position in 624s, but that's where your final TP is going to be. So maybe you have a net realized risk reward or something like this to maybe something like this, right? But in the end, this is still a much better trade than, say, shorting right back into the 630s, because right here, you're risking so much to make so little, right? So again, just be privy to the levels today. The levels today are very simple. It's here, it's here, it's there. That's where it is today here in a QQ chart. But what you don't want to do is you don't really want to be short back into these demand lows, because again, even though we think the market's going to sell off, it doesn't mean the market actually will. Thinking something is very different from acting upon it, right? And seeing it happen and confirm on the 5-minute time frame. So let's watch and see what happens today here in the QQ chart, okay? That being said, all right, guys, what I want to do is I first want to go over a few tickers. I'm waiting to see if I keep looking at my phone right now because I'm trying to see if I have data, but it looks like I don't have any data. So let's move on, okay? QQ chart, done. Let's go over the first ticker of today's session, guys. First ticker of today's session, let's go over Nvidia, okay? Oh, mother. This gets me mad, okay? This gets me a little bit mad right now because this is the level that we're watching right now and it's beginning to form, right? Okay, so yeah, breaking in the pre-market. That is the worst case scenario for us. But this is my top watch this morning, right? And the reason why this is my top watch is because if you do something crazy here, right? And you run what we consider, where is it? Where is it? Where is it at? There it is. Okay, so if you run a fixed range volume profile, you're going to see here there is nothing but there is no volume in between the 205s and the 195s. Okay, and I can tell you probably at this point where this chart's going to, right? It's going to go to the high volume nodes, and the first high volume node is actually right here at the 201s. But the second high volume node and the biggest one I think we should all be aware of is around the 195s, around the 190s, right? And so I know at this point in time, this chart probably is going to structure lower there and develop a long around those demand lows. So like I said before on the video, past few weeks, I said Nvidia is going to pull back at some point, right? And people said, remember we said yesterday, Wednesday session, we said this yesterday, we said, guys, Nvidia is going to pull back, right? It will pull back at some point. And someone in the chat said Nvidia is not going to pull back. It will pull back. It's just, I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, right? Now here's the thing. Today's session, I like this short under 205 because I think as long as we maintain under 205, I think we're beginning the downtrend here, a smaller time frame down, not an uptrend, not a larger time frame downtrend, but a smaller time frame downtrend for the move back lower into the 195s, right? So I'm looking for us to basically fade the 205 for a short play into 195. Now, granted, if we reclaim the upside play above the 205s, I think we're going back in highs here, so that would invalidate my short. But what validates the short this morning is the fact that we are under PDL, right? That's the most important thing right now is go back to PDL today on the market, right? On SPY, on QQQ, on AMD, on Apple, on Meta, right? And well, not Meta because Meta sold off, right? But for all these other names, the PDL is going to be the most important thing to watch in the chart. And this morning here on the video, we were under PDL. We were under the 205 area. So for today's session, if I see us begin to fade that 205 today, let's just see off the open, we begin fading 205. I'm looking for a downside move here into lows. Top watch for shorts, okay? If we do break and hold above 205 again, then I'm no longer looking for shorts here, and it rips into highs, right? That's what it is today here on Nvidia's chart. Pretty simple pre-market plan here on the Nvidia chart, right? AMD. So AMD was a little bit of a pop and fade yesterday, right? A little bit of a trapped buyer scenario here, okay? In my opinion, there was a trapped buyer scenario yesterday above the highs here, 264 breakout. Even for myself, I actually almost longed this yesterday. I almost longed this 264 breakout yesterday, right? I know, and because I almost longed this, you have to think like that, right? Because I almost longed 264 breakout, imagine all the other people who probably also did that, had the same idea and actually executed it, actually did it, and imagine how they are feeling right now in the pre-market session, what they are thinking. And in my view, if we clear back under these demand lows here at 257, I think we're going to see some downside here. So trap buyer scenario here, you have the TB, we have the TB here, trap buyers above the 264s yesterday, a little bit of break and fade, right? A little whim wham, right? And then now we're back at lows. So the question is, do we break under the lows here, under 287? If we do, looking for downside, back into 253. Watching AMD shorts today. I know I'm watching for the video, actually technically watching for both AMD shorts and the video shorts. But watching AMD as also one of the top watches is going to be, do we break below the 257s today? Guys, for net infinity, what indicator was I discussing? It's called the fixed range volume profile. That's all it is. Fixed range volume profile. It's right over here on TradingView. Okay. Let's move on. So AMD under lows for downside. If AMD does begin pulling back to some of our demand zones below, i.e. Back into 253, this is a big demand to watch out for. Don't be a fool, right? Don't be an absolute muppet, right? Don't be an this is what you don't want to happen. Don't be a muppet that does this, right? I want to short the under 257, so I look for shorts here. I missed the trade. I'm a muppet. I buy puts right now. Bam, what just happened? The market sucks, right? No, the market doesn't suck. You just suck, right? The market doesn't suck. You just suck. And trust me, I've sucked for so long. That whoa. Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Do not clip that. Someone X that out. Edit that out. That was not. Whoa. God, that was horrible. That was horrible. Okay, we have to rescind that statement. Rescind that statement. That was for stock trading purposes. Okay, but under the 257, right? I sucked at trading for so long. Under the 257, I would be the one that would short the 253s. All right, that's all I was saying. That's all I was saying. Okay, let's move on. SMH. On the SMH shot, I just see the chat going absolutely crazy right now. I just literally, that was crazy. All right. Whoa, too early for this. So, SMH, the first sign of actual failures under lows. So you have a break under PDL here, okay? 366 as your PDL. You can see we're now turning this PDL into a rejection point. This is important for us this morning. Watch to see if we are under the 366s today. If we are, you know where we're moving to. We're moving back into the next big demand zone. And where is the next big demand zone SMH? Well, it's back into the 360s. Okay, you can see right here. If you now look at this chart in the 15-minute time frame, right? Look at the high we developed here on that Monday high. You can see the Monday high level, 360. You know where we should be going to right now. Okay, we should, in theory, trade back down into these highs over here, right? But again, don't be a muppet. Don't be short back into these lows, these highs over here, because again, we could turn that into support. So right now, I would expect us, as long as we trade under PDL, to look for the move back down to lows here. If we reclaim PDL, then back into highs. So everything on semis on the SMH is defined by your PDL. Okay, above the PDL, bullish. Below the PDL, bearish. That's what it is today here on your semiconductor sector. And your AVGO chart, AVGO. So AVGO yesterday was quite bullish, right? We cleared the 370s, we ripped higher into 392. Now, here's the issue. Right now, on the semiconductor sector, we have some overall weakness. Now, I don't know if it's going to change, but it's still weak. Look at the SMH, it's still weak. Look at Nvidia, it's still kind of weak here, right? AMD is even trapping buyers to highs. So even though AVGO is a little bit different, AVGO is quite strong this morning, I would still be a little bit cautious to going long, okay? That being said, if we do pull back into the 370s today, I can see this. You guys can all see it with me. Look at this chart. We all see it together, right? Look at the 370s. Look at the 370s. Look at the 370s. This is technically a break and retest, right? So this would be your break, your retest for 370 for longs. So if we do pull back to 370 today on semis, you could look for, or on Broadcom, on AVGO, you could look for that break and retest long trade. So my top watch today on semis is short, except for AVGO. AVGO is the only one. AVGO is the one that I would not go short on because, again, it is a larger time frame break and retest. Look at this chart as compared to AMD, right? AMD is way far away from demand, whereas AVGO has some demand below to watch out for. So keep an eye at the 370s today. That's your demand zone, okay? But again, the overall semis look a little bit top heavy going into a pre-market session, unless we reclaim PDL, right? Guys, we got to move fast. Tesla 450 above bullish, below bearish. Very simple today here in Tesla. This is what it is, right? This is simply what it is today. If we lose the 450s, we're going to fail back into lows here. If we hold the 450s, we're going to go back into highs here. Everything on Tesla is about 450. Above bull, below bear. It's a simple chart, right? I don't know what's going to happen here. Market looks a little bit frothy, but again, frothy back into demand here. Let's not be a muppet and short back into this 450, right? If we're going to short the highs or short down under 445, 450 for the downside move, okay? That's what it is today here in Tesla's chart. Apple is a name that is strong, right? You can see the overall resiliency on Apple despite the market sell-off yesterday. This resiliency is something that we should be noting, right? Being aware of. I don't really want to be a short here on Apple because look at the chart, look at this chart, do a cross comparison here, right? Look at the Apple strength compared to the AMD weakness, right? Look at the difference between Apple and AMD in the pre-market session. Apple is holding relatively strong here. Apple is still maintaining strong. Apple has earnings coming up in the afternoon session today. But Apple is strong. I would not be short. Even if Apple didn't have earnings today, it's a name I would actually be focusing on for longs. We can't trade this right now because the contracts are not going to move. But if Apple was not to report earnings in the after-hour session today, I would be telling you guys one thing. I'd be saying look for the longs off the 270s today, right? If we can look for longs here off the PDH, this is a nice upside trade. And again, this is a very good break and retest upside trade. But again, the big E in the after-hour session, okay? Right, let's move on. Now you guys have energy. Look at that. I'm seeing just a lot of energy in the chat. Okay, Palantir, PLTR. Palantir, big upside. Mike talked about this yesterday's session above the 192s, right? You saw the 192 breakout. This was quite nice yesterday. I'm sure some of you guys caught this into our day yesterday. But I'm looking for this today. If we do pull back to 192 today, this is your long side trade, okay? So 192 pullback long. If we do get it, that's your pullback long for today's session, okay? Moving on, let's go over a few more. You can see, obviously, look at this chart here, right? I mean, this is an interesting chart. This reminds you of AVGO, right? This is an AVGO chart. You have your highs here, you have your highs here, you have your highs here, We are now turning it into, if we turn it into a low, right, this is your upside trade. Okay, so keep that on the back burner here on this Palantir chart, right? Let's go over a few more. Google. Google obviously moving up higher post earnings, right? You can see here pretty crazy, right? I believe people were anticipating it to not be as there was a lot of things in AI, right? People thought it was that the usership was quite good, right? And that was the biggest thing. People were worried about OpenAI stealing Google usership, and it didn't, right? You guys saw that the numbers were actually fantastic on Google. In fact, it actually rose this quarter. Where is the pullback long today in Google? It's nowhere to be found. Okay, I don't like this chart. Look, 300 is your level, right? That's your major supply above us. It's a cycle level. It's also the previous all-time highs. But your major pullback long spot has to be a fib level, right? And that's why I'm not so privy to this. My fib level on Google is back at the 287s and back at the 280s. So if you are trading this on Google's chart, you're looking for a pullback to a fib level, which would be, this is your first pullback long right there. 287 for a pullback long, for a demand bounce. It probably works. Look, it probably does. It's a fib level. It's also a after hours level from yesterday in the post earnings. So if you want to trade this, look for the 287 pullback long. Likewise, look for 280 as a pullback long as well. Okay, that's what I'm seeing here on the Google chart. All right. Whoa, I'm losing my voice this morning. Let's go over a few more. We have a few things to talk about. Brett, what about Trump talks last night? Did he? I didn't see it. I did not see it. I wasn't really paying attention to it at that moment. Meta Cheta. So Meta Cheta obviously is selling. Okay, it's selling pretty aggressively. I mean, this is just a post-earnings sell, right? So definitely some discrepant tech reactions here. But you can see we're back in demand here at the 678s. Look, here's the issue right now. I mean, 678 is obviously a big level, but it's not. This is demand, right? I really don't want to be short back into the 678s. You can see, look how important this. Look at these triple bottom lows here, right? And we're sitting right at those triple bottom lows. If I'm looking to short anywhere on Meta, it's got to be on some sort of dead cat bounce. Okay, very important. Meta shorts are valid on dead cat bounces. If I see maybe a Meta bounce here off the 678s, I'm looking for us to short back into the 710s rather for a downside move. 710 for rejections, but as of right now, I would not be overly short into these demand lows, right? Because again, there is demand below us, and those are landmines where the market can just give you those dead cat bounces higher, right? That is Meta's chart. So, guys, listen, I think that's where I want to end it. It's 9:06 in the pre-market. We know a lot of things this morning. It's a beautiful morning, not in terms of weather in New York. It's pretty bad here, pretty disgusting. But it's a beautiful, some pretty charts out here, right? So let's watch, see what happens today. Let's be smart about our trades, and I'll see you guys all for live trading. Have a happy and safe trading session. I'll see you guys all in the Discord. Bye, guys.